Hello everyone, it's me, Clayton. I just got back from watching Bad Times at the El Royale, starring Jeff Bridges, Cynthia Erivo, Chris Hemsworth, Dakota Johnson, and John Hamm, as well as a bunch of other people. Now, films like Bad Times at the El Royale are a bit of a dying breed, as it's a neo-noir film that's also a thriller. Now, thriller films of this type are usually a send up are usually not done very often, but in this case it feels like a very refreshing breath of fresh air when it comes to the usual movie landscape of especially in the October season. In a season full of horror films, action films, and films that are really not trying anything new, this one takes the thriller genre back to its roots and manages to deliver some solid performances along the way. Let's get to the story, shall we? The story is set in the late 1960s, where 7 different strangers all converge onto the El Royale Hotel, and every single one has something to them that they're not willing to show to anyone else. And I will not reveal any more about the story because a lot of the fun of the story is figuring out what's going on with all 7 of these people and how they all fit into the story. It's best experienced on your own, but the way the story is told through various flashbacks and through various turns and twists of the characters really reminds audiences of what makes thrillers like this so much fun. How certain actions from the beginning of the film have a lot more context at the end, and how certain characters who seem one way in one scene can be completely another way when you learn more about them. And of course this wouldn't work unless the performances were spot on, and thankfully these are. Jeff Bridges is of course spot on with his portrayal of his priest character. John Hamm manages to do pretty well with the limited screen time he has. Dakota Johnson, I swear, can do no wrong, and she's really fun to watch. Chris Hemsworth's, of course, always a riot, even when he's not playing Thor. But Cynthia Erivo is probably my favorite character, playing a struggling singer who happens to really get a lot of the great emotional moments that got a lot of pathos out of me. I haven't heard of her before this film, but I'll definitely pay attention to her moving forward, since I thought she was great. Similar to films like The Hateful Eight, Bad Times at the El Royale is a rather long film that takes place in one location. But, much like The Hateful Eight, it is an interesting location, so it doesn't feel boring, and the cinematography, as well as all the different aspects of the location, keep it from being boring or repetitive. You've got the glitz and glamour of a formerly top-ranked, but now off-season hotel, but you've also got a lot of different rooms and a lot of different areas throughout that spice up the location a little bit, even if some of the most important scenes all take place in the main lobby. It's interesting to see this 1960s world told from the perspective of these strangers and told in this hotel that really makes it feel like a blast from the past in a lot of cases. When you're not enjoying how these characters are acting or how the story is coming together, you can enjoy the visual aspects and how it manages to relive the feeling of the late 1960s, getting a rush of nostalgia, if you will. With that said, there are a few flaws, in my opinion. In my opinion, even though I enjoyed the flashbacks, some of them do come a little bit at times where they really shouldn't have. One of which, in one case, takes place right before the big climax, and I thought took a little bit of tension out of the scenario. Lastly, the other flaw I have is that with the movie's length. That isn't to say that the movie is way too long, but at 2.5 hours, and with a limited amount of actors to carry the film, they do a good job, but it does feel like the movie can drag in a few cases. That is until the next thrilling subplot or exciting scene happens to keep you invested. I thought it was a little long, and some of the flashbacks were a little were not placed in the best places, but otherwise, it's pretty good. I give Bad Times at the El Royale an 8 out of 10. See you next time.